Affordable, roomy, and very easy to set up, the Marmot Tungsten 3-person tent is the perfect option for camping or backpacking when you've got 3 people to split up the weight between the tent. We'll take a look at all the features and what makes this tent so great. A unique feature about the pole structure of this tent is that on all corners you have pre-bent knees on these aluminum DAC poles. So they're aluminum poles, very durable, and you have 2 poles that cross over one another with a hub in the middle. And then you've also got a brow pole right here. This is a different colored pole. It brings the sidewalls of the tent up to be a little bit more vertical. So you have a lot of livable space above you in the tent. And the neat thing about these pre-bent knees that we talked about is it brings the corners of the tent out to be a little bit more spacious, so that the 4 corners of the tent, you have a lot more usable space. If you think about a regular tent that's more of an A-frame style, those corners are virtually useless space. So with these pre-bent knees, it gives you a lot more livable space inside the tent. If we look at the waterproof floor, the floor of this tent is a very durable 68D polyester material. You've got 68D polyester taffeta material up here. And this is kind of an angled material. It gives you a little bit more privacy over here, but on that side you've got a lot more ventilation. And then up here you have no-see mesh. That's going to keep the weight of the tent down and let it be a little bit more breathable in warmer temperatures. Down here on the floor, the seam on the edge here is cut up to be above the ground. So this is a cantonary cut. It's intentional. It leaves that seam up off the ground so that you're not going to get groundwater in through that seam. This is a freestanding tent, so it's very easy to set up. Once you put the poles into each of the grommets, it's a really easy clip system here. So you just clip the poles to the tent body and it pitches really easily that way. You also have color-coded clips here on the front of the tent, and it's a pretty symmetrical tent. You have 2 doors and 2 vestibules, but one of the vestibules is a little bit bigger, so that's what I would use as my front door access in and out of the tent. And the front of this does have 2 red little pieces of nylon webbing in the front. You also have red tabs on the Rainfly, so you can orient the Rainfly on the tent the first time every time. It makes it really easy that way. And while we're talking about the doors, you have 2 really wide open D-shaped doors. On the zipper here, you have jingle-free zipper pulls, so if it's windy at night, that's not going to keep you up. You can open the door here and just roll it back and see how much interior space there is. On the interior of the tent, you certainly have a lot of room. This would be a great 2-person camping tent if you want sprawling comfort, you want a lot of room in there, but there's certainly enough room for 3 campers or 3 backpackers. This tent is 90 inches long by 66 inches wide, and with a 20-inch wide sleeping mat, you can certainly get 3 people in here comfortably. With those 2 doors, you don't have to worry about crawling over each other to get out of the tent. But some other livability, you've got pockets here on either side of the door. I've got a pocket over here as well. And what's convenient about that, if you just zip open the door, you can tuck it in the pocket really quickly if you need to get stuff in and out of it. But you can also roll back the door like I have here with this toggle. You have a 46-inch peak height here with this tent, and there are gear attachment points in the top, so you could hang gear if you needed to. And there's also lampshade pockets in this tent. So it's a really convenient little pocket, one here and one there in the corner. And that's great if you put a headlamp in there. It really diffuses the light and makes a really great even light inside the tent. If I get all the way into the tent, you can see how much sprawling room there is. So if you're splitting up the weight between 3 backpackers, this could be a backpackable option, but I see this more as a camping tent. With the sprawling room in here, you definitely have room to sit up in the tent. And with those bent knees on the corners, it makes it feel a little bit more livable inside the tent here. We're gonna put the Rainfly on and talk about the features of that. There's a standard full coverage Rainfly, meaning that all of the corners of the tent go down around each side of the tent. So you don't have to worry about wind getting water inside the tent if it's really windy and rainy. This is a completely waterproof and seam taped Rainfly, and the material here is 68D, so there's a lot of durability with that fabric as well. The features here, you have a vent on the front and on the back. This vent is really convenient if you've got a pretty heavy rain but you need some ventilation still inside the tent. This vent can be accessed from the inside, so you can open and close that from the interior of the tent. If you really need to batten everything down and there's water coming through that, if you got some sideways rain, you can toggle that down from the inside, and there's just a piece of Velcro there. With the zipper on the Rainfly, you have a nice flap in front of that zipper, so that's going to protect water from leaking in through the flap. And you have a really big open vestibule here, so a vestibule on the front and on the back of the tent. One thing I really like about this zipper is you have a zipper from the top and the bottom. So I still have the bottom connected. If you need a vent a little bit more from the top, you can do that as well. So this provides a little bit more ventilation, a cross breeze through the tent. But if you want to, you can zip this completely open and roll back the door. You can actually roll back that side as well, and you can do the same thing on the other side of the vestibule. So if you want a really nice cross breeze without having to take the Rainfly off, you can do that. And then if it starts to rain, you can just roll down the vestibule again. We've got this side of the vestibule rolled back just to show the space underneath the vestibule. There's certainly enough space for 3 people's gear, so backpack and boots. On the other side, you have a little bit smaller of a vestibule, but it certainly gives you a little bit more space. A couple other key points to point out. There are some guy out points and toggle points on this Rainfly that help you to stake it out a little bit more. So we have a nice sunny day, it's not windy, I don't need to batten anything down here, so I don't have any of those guy out lines staked out. Marmot gives you enough guy out lines and stakes to pitch the tent really well, but they don't include guy out lines and stakes for every single point on this tent. So if you know you're really gonna need to stake out every point, if you're gonna be in some nasty weather, I would say just bring along some extra guy out lines and extra stakes. Marmot includes a custom fit footprint for the Tungsten 3P tent. So this is going to protect the fabric of the tent. It's going to allow you to get more years of use out of this tent. It also protects from groundwater and that sort of thing, so adds a lot of value. A great option for camping or backpacking if you're sharing the weight with 3 backpackers. This tent is very affordable. It's going to give you a lot of protection from the elements. It's very roomy and easy to set up. It's the Marmot Tungsten 3P tent.